It's a lot of great people. Lots of great people on both sides. Excuse me. Fake reviews.
First of all, it's great jokes. Two, it's like it does say, are we becoming too fragile when it comes to, like, some of those politicians were afraid to say what Donald Trump was saying, and they ended up being left in the dust because people were a little like, well, he's got a point in the sense that we're playing things a little too close.
Look out for
They tried to give me the virus. I beat the virus.
Trump hates comedians more than he hates prosecutors. Why? Because while you can fight a court case with lawyers and money, you can't stop people from laughing at you. Watch as Jamie Foxx recreates Trump's bizarre speech pattern so perfectly that even Trump supporters were cringing. And Chris Rock, he dissects Trump like a scientist examining a weird specimen that somehow ended up in the White House. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Ever wonder how Chris Rock makes millions laugh while talking about Trump in ways that would get the rest of us blocked on Facebook? It's not just because he's famous, it's because he's turned political comedy into a precise science. When Chris Rock goes after Trump, he's not just another comedian making orange jokes. He's putting on metaphorical rubber gloves and dissecting Trump like a high school biology experiment, pointing out all the weird parts nobody else wants to look at.
We need bullies. That's how Trump became president. That's exactly what happened. We got rid of bullies, a real bully showed up, and nobody knew how to handle it.
All of them. All of the death row records. Don't try to pin me down. I see what he just. Excuse me.
Fake news.
Excuse me.
Fake news.
Fake news.
Why you say they try to get in the fire? Look, who is they? The motherfucker said.
Trump might work out. I mean, think about it this way. Bush was so bad, he gave us Obama. You forget that, don't you?
You've probably seen comedians who just make fun of Trump's hair or his weird way of standing. Not Rock. He treats Trump like a specimen under a microscope, examining every contradiction and absurdity with the focus of someone who's trying to understand how this particular species works. It's like watching a nature documentary where the narrator can't believe what the animal is doing, but needs to document it anyway. What makes Rock's approach cut deeper than most comedians is how he connects Trump to bigger truths about America. When Rock dissects Trump, he's really dissecting the culture that made him possible. Our obsession with wealth, no matter how it's earned, our celebrity worship, and our willingness to ignore reality when it's inconvenient. He's not just making jokes, he's performing an autopsy on parts of American culture we'd rather not talk about. Remember when Rock compared Trump's approach to legal troubles with deadbeat dads dodging child support? That comparison hit like a truck because it wasn't just funny. It was uncomfortably accurate. Rock pointed out how Trump employs the exact same playbook: endless excuses, constant delays, claims about unfair treatment, and promises to pay up very soon that somehow never materialize. The audience didn't just laugh, they experienced that oh damn moment of recognition that only comes when someone names a truth you've always known but never articulated. The genius of this comparison is how it strips away Trump's carefully maintained image. Here's a guy who brands himself as the ultimate alpha businessman who always closes the deal. But when Rock's finished, you can only see him as another dude making excuses to avoid responsibility. Rock doesn't attack Trump directly, he simply holds up a mirror that shows Trump without all the gold plating and campaign music. When Rock talks about Trump's post-presidency behavior, the rallies that never stopped, the election claims that never ended, he doesn't need to tell you it's pathetic. He simply describes it with such clinical precision that the absurdity becomes impossible to ignore. It's like watching someone explain in great detail why your drunk uncle's conspiracy theories don't make sense. Devastating because it's so matter-of-fact. What separates Rock from other Trump critics is that he's not playing to a partisan audience. He's not preaching to the choir or trying to score political points. He's just observing human behavior with the unflinching eye of someone who's spent decades studying what makes people tick. When he talks about Trump's legal maneuvers, he's not outraged. He's almost impressed by the audacity. In the same way you might be impressed by a raccoon figuring out a complicated trash can lock. The scientific approach Rock takes makes his comedy simultaneously hilarious and devastating. He doesn't need to exaggerate or embellish. The truth is damning enough when presented clearly. It's like he's saying, look at this fascinating specimen of human behavior. Isn't it extraordinary what this particular human will do to avoid consequences? And that approach leaves Trump with no defense because Rock isn't attacking him, he's simply describing him. While Jamie Foxx might nail Trump's voice and mannerisms, which we'll get to later, Rock captures something much deeper, the fundamental absurdity of Trump's entire existence as a public figure. Rock exposes the gap between how Trump presents himself and the reality beneath that presentation. He peels back the layers of delusion surrounding not just Trump, but the entire ecosystem that sustains him. Jamie Foxx doesn't just do a Trump impression, he performs a full psychological excavation that's spreading across the internet faster than Trump's late-night social media rants. While other comedians might nail the voice or the hand gestures, Foxx goes nuclear by hijacking Trump's entire mental operating system. His impression isn't just funny, it's practically a psychiatric evaluation performed live on stage. What makes Fox's Trump so devastating is how he recreates the entire thought process behind those infamous speeches. It's not enough to sound like Trump. Foxx captures those bizarre mental gears turning in real time. He perfectly nails the way Trump wanders through sentences like a lost tourist, those strange pauses where you can almost see his brain buffering, and the wild transitions from "I'm the greatest ever" to "everybody's so unfair to me" that happen faster than a New York minute. When Foxx starts performing as Trump, something almost eerie happens. The audience doesn't just laugh, they experience that uncomfortable recognition moment. You know, that "wait, this is too accurate" feeling. That makes you squirm a little in your seat. It's like watching someone read Trump's brain scans out loud, exposing all those neural pathways that shouldn't make sense but somehow hypnotized millions of Americans. You can actually see it happening during his live performances. As Foxx gets deeper into his Trump impression, audience members start looking at each other with that "are you hearing this" expression. It's the comedy equivalent of removing Trump's filter and letting everyone see the raw feed. The reaction isn't just laughter, it's that stunned realization that this is exactly how the man actually talks when you really pay attention. The viral clip of Fox's Trump impression didn't just spread because it was funny. It spread because it was a perfect recreation of Trump's chaotic communication style. Those meandering sentences that start nowhere and end up somewhere completely different. The constant self-interruptions to praise himself. The weird rhythm that follows no logical structure, but somehow worked like a charm on millions of voters. What's particularly brilliant is how Foxx captures those trademark Trump moves. The sudden shifts between arrogance and victimhood. The desperate need to convince everyone he's the absolute best at everything. And those strange pauses that make you wonder if he's forgotten what he was saying mid-sentence. When these traits are performed by someone other than Trump, they suddenly look absurd, like watching your own weird habits in a mirror for the first time. For Trump supporters, this creates a real mental puzzle. They're witnessing a perfect recreation of their hero. But coming from someone else, it suddenly sounds ridiculous. It forces them to confront an uncomfortable question. Wait, does he actually sound like that? This cognitive dissonance is more powerful than any political argument because it bypasses their defensive walls completely. That's why impressions like Fox's are Trump's true kryptonite. The man can handle lawsuits, investigations, and even bankrupt casinos. But what he absolutely cannot tolerate is being laughed at. Mockery strips away his carefully constructed image of power and control, leaving behind just a blustering, incoherent mess. When the impression went viral, Trump predictably responded with furious rants and desperate attempts to change the subject. But his Truth Social tirade only validated how accurate Fox's impression really was. What makes this style of mockery so effective is that it's impossible to counter. When someone criticizes Trump's policies, he can fire back with insults. When someone questions his character, he can change the subject. But when someone simply mirrors his exact speaking patterns back to him, there's no defense against that. It exposes the fact that Trump is the joke, and there's no comeback for someone who's just repeating your own words and mannerisms. The political impact goes deeper than just getting laughs. While news analysts break down Trump's policy positions, Fox's impression analyzes something more fundamental, the bizarre communication style that somehow worked on so many Americans. For those outside Trump's devoted echo chamber, the impression makes everyone realize just how absurd he sounds to the rest of the world. It's like suddenly hearing your own accent for the first time and thinking, do I really sound like that? So what happens when someone makes fun of Trump? Well, now we know. Turns out, the big tough guy who loves dishing it out can't take a joke himself. According to reports, Trump goes into total meltdown mode whenever comedians nail him, posting angry rants on Truth Social and desperately trying to change the subject. This is why comedy terrifies politicians more than serious journalism. You can spin facts, but you can't spin laughter. Dictators throughout history have feared comedians for exactly this reason. So next time you see Rock, Fox, or any comedian taking shots at powerful people, remember, they're not just telling jokes, they're wielding one of democracy's oldest weapons.